All right. Are we ready for me to go ahead and start this part? Do you have the Facebook Live happening? All right. All right. Welcome, welcome, everybody, to the Million Mom Movement Women's Health Zoom. Um, yeah, my name is Grace Murdoch, and I have been a council member on the Million Mom Movement Council since January of 2025. And I'm passionate about the Million Mom Movement because this actually really gave my daughter and I an opportunity when I really needed it, when I was transitioning out of relationship with her father. So not only did it give me what I needed nutritionally to fortify my health, but it gave me financial security in a really, really important time. And it's been amazing to watch my daughter grow up in this Purium community and have health as a set point, so I can really see how that has nourished our family in many, many ways. I want to say that I am joined by fellow Million Mom Movement Council members, Nayeva Flore, Sherry Packard, Ashley Morales, and Dominique Jeffries. It's really an honor to be with all of you. These women are all powerhouses, and we have a great time, sourcing this information and bringing it to you, and we all have our own special wheelhouse. So I hope that you'll come back and really, become a part of this community and join us moving forward. All right. So Donica said that she would be willing to read our pledge. So we'll get that up on the screen. All right. Go ahead. Take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so our pledge. I pledge to defend the health of myself and my family. I pledge to choose organic foods that are minimally processed and free of man-made ingredients. I pledge to read labels and educate myself on all aspects of clean living. I understand that my actions today will positively impact the health and environment of future generations. I am committed to sharing this movement of many. I am the Million Mom Movement.
Yes. Thank you so much. And would you care to share just a little bit about what this movement means to you personally?
Sure. So I am a mom of three, very different ages and stages. I have a soon to be 21-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So just momming is my life, right? I've been doing it for so long, but what I love about these products is, and I share with Dominique all the time, is that they help me feel more grounded when I feel like I want to lose my bits with my children or just life. I also am a recent widow, so solo momming is very new to me. It'll be 2 years next month. So that's a big transition for me. So just trying to stay true to myself, take care of myself so that I can better take care of my kids now that they only have me, has been huge for me. So trying to find ways that I can better do that and feel more supported in doing that has been my goal. Just what can I do to better myself and make this easier for me? And Purium has just been in my back pocket and just keeping me going. And I actually met Dominique on a grief call a few months back in November, and it changed my life. So I'm just happy to be here, happy to share, happy to be amongst other people, like-minded people. So thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you and looking forward to hearing more of your story moving forward today. All right. So yeah, we're 1,000 people in 100 communities committing to spread health, well-being, and economic opportunity around organic superfood nutrition with 10 families each. And we need to reach more people faster. So it's time to go public and find new partners on this transformative journey. And just ask yourself, all right, are you one of the 10 families that someone else discovered? Or are you one of the 100 individuals actively seeking those 10 families? Perhaps you're the person igniting change in 100 communities. Welcome. My name is Grace Murdoch. As I said, I'm a green diamond here with Purium. I'm also the mama of a 12-year-old. I've dedicated my entire adult life to the healing arts. I hold a certification in holistic midwifery. I'm also the founder of the School of Sentient Birth, and I have co-authored a book on women's health and birth work. And did I mention that I am also a post-menopausal woman? I really am. And tonight, our topic is reimagining menopause, health, hormones and new beginnings. And my intention is to initiate an enlightening discussion on menopause. Because this is more than just a transition. It's an opportunity for us to really reclaim our health, embrace hormonal balance, and step into a new phase of empowerment and renewal. I'm not gonna lie though, my menopausal journey has been like a little bit perplexing. Many of us enter into this phase without having any guidance or mentorship, or even conversations. I remember just being like, why, what's happening, number one, and why is nobody talking about it? And in the Western culture, aging women, we often feel like we're in that time of like, I used to hear when I was younger, I would hear women talk about this feeling of kind of becoming invisible as we age. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. And I really, really noticed it in the last 2 years, being treated differently out in the world as I age. And for many of us, the way that the culture kind of shows us that our value is it's tied to our youth and it's tied to our fertility. So, this transition is not just a physical one. It can actually really deeply impact our identity, our purpose, and our emotional well being. So, whether or not we've had children, our reproductive phase, it really plays a role in our identity. And stepping out of it can feel like a pretty big, major shift. So, why I feel like this conversation matters is, lack of mentorship. As I said, many of us still don't have access to matriarchs or role models who are guiding us through menopause. And so, if I think about what's the best way forward, it's to open up conversations and to explore different perspectives and empower ourselves with the gifts of curiosity and knowledge and holistic support, right? So, the goal of our discussion tonight is to understand what's happening in our bodies, our minds, and our spirits, and also to explore how menopause is perceived, not just in the Western culture, but from other cultures. All right, and so also, uncovering self-care and nutrition strategies, and then shifting our perspective. Whoops, I'm having something pop up here. Shifting our perspective. So potentially embracing that menopause can be a rite of passage time, and it can be a very powerful new beginning for us. So if you are a woman who has experienced, beginning stages of menopause, which is perimenopause or menopause, if you have anything going on in that arena, go ahead and just drop a hello in the chat. Just want to see you and know that we're here together. And let's talk about actually what is menopause. All right. So to really identify menopause, we need to start with perimenopause. So perimenopause is the traditional phase before menopause. All right, so that's when the body starts to gradually begin to produce less estrogen. And it typically starts in a woman's 40s, but really it can be earlier, it can be later, it just really depends. And it lasts anywhere from a few months to over 10 years, right? And this leads up to menopause, which is officially marked. And I actually didn't know this when I started having like perimenopausal symptoms and menopausal symptoms. I actually didn't know like what even, I mean, I knew that it had to do with not having my cycle, but even being a midwife and working in women's health, I didn't really know like what it was. So that's why I'm kind of going into this. So that's the time leading up to menopause, which is officially marked when a woman has gone 12 consecutive months without her menstrual cycle. All right. So the key characteristics of perimenopause are irregular periods. So they could be shorter, they could be longer, heavier, lighter. Hormonal fluctuations. So estrogen and progesterone levels are rising and falling very unpredictably. Some of the common indicators, or we refer to them also as symptoms, are hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, anxiety or irritability, sleep disturbances, fatigue, brain fog. That was a huge one for me. decreased libido, vaginal dryness, weight changes, and metabolic shifts. So the difference, just to clarify, between perimenopause and menopause is that unlike menopause, which is when our ovaries stop releasing eggs entirely, in perimenopause, ovulation still occurs, but it's less predictable. Right? So menopause is the natural biological stage when a woman permanently stops menstruating and is no longer able to conceive naturally, right? And that passage, as I said, is marked by 12 months without your menstrual cycle, right? Average onset of menopause is 51, but again, like my family, the women in my family started childbearing very young and also menopause younger than average. So my mom started perimenopause at like 35, which a lot of people would consider super young. Um, so it really depends on just a lot of things, our lineage, what's going on in our diet. And we also live in an incredibly toxic culture. So it's kind of like whack-a-mole around our health sometimes. All right, so let's talk about the body and hormonal shifts and what is really happening in menopause. If we lean into a scientific understanding of perimenopause and menopause, estrogen starts to decline, right? And so some of the ways that that shows up is that it affects our moods. It also can impact bone density and our metabolism. I'm just doing kind of a broad sweep here. Progesterone decreases, and that impacts our sleep. It can increase our anxiety, and it also heightens our stress response. Testosterone also fluctuates. Okay, so that's where we get the change in our libido. Also, our muscle tone can start to change, and that's where we get decreased motivation when we're just feeling like we're not quite on top of it, don't have the energy and the oomph to go do the thing. And so these shifts affect everything from our body temperature to our mental clarity. And that kind of explains why menopause can feel like an incredible roller coaster. So I'd love to just see in the comments if you are experiencing any of these indications or symptoms, and also just what's rising to the top for you in what we have shared so far. One of the unsung heroes in our body in the menopause journey is our adrenal glands, right? So if you take your hands and you make fists and then you bring them to the small of your back and kind of press in, the adrenal glands are located there right underneath your kidneys. And they're like walnut size. They're really, really tiny, but they have a huge, huge job. And in menopause and perimenopause, the adrenal glands take over and they start to produce really small amounts of estrogen and progesterone. However, chronic stress weakens our adrenals. And so that's why we often in the menopausal time have like an increase in our fatigue and when our adrenals are stressed, the brain fog will get stronger and the mood swings will be more dramatic. All right. So, supporting our adrenal health is really key, and that's going to bring an easier menopause transition all the way together. And the good news is we kind of have adrenal support on lock here with Purium, so it's adaptogens like ashwagandha and rhodiola. Our Love Shake has rhodiola in it. And of course, the Menopositive has wonderful adaptogens and herbs. And, we want to move into deeper breathing. Most of us have been shallow breathers for most of our life, and reducing caffeine and sugar can really help. And these are all things that will support, just baseline things that you can do to promote better adrenal functioning. All right, so let's talk about metabolism and weight changes. Weight changes, it's a big thing for a lot of women. I'm a pretty body positive person, and I have felt stressed about the changes happening in my body in menopause. I'm living in a very different body than I've ever lived in right now. So part of what happens in menopause that causes changes in our weight is insulin resistance increases. All right. And if you don't know, our Power Shake is amazing for balancing out blood sugar levels. But this, specifically, the weight gain that happens around insulin resistance is particularly around that midsection. And you hear menopausal women talk about it all the time, right? And so the good news is it's not personal to any of us, and it doesn't have to do with us being like exercising enough, or I mean, we want to stay healthy, but this is something common that we all go through. And as I have had women friends that I've had since my 20s, and I get to witness, I can be pretty tough on myself in the aging process, but when I witness the women around me also aging, I really just feel like it's such a beautiful transition. I can really appreciate it in other people. So also around metabolism and weight changes. So our metabolism is slowing down and our bodies are burning fewer calories at rest. And then the muscle mass starts to decrease, and that leads to less strength and more fatigue. So definitely super aminos enter the picture there. Some of the solutions are strength training, balancing our blood sugar levels, nutrient-dense foods, and that's going to help us maintain energy and muscle tone. All right, so given what I've shared, what do you imagine or have you experienced some of Purium's gems to be, right? Like if you've been around a while and you've heard some of what I've said, go ahead and pop them into the comments, what you think that we have that could support this process. And I'm going to circle back around to the comments. But I'd like to talk about emotional and spiritual changes, right? We oftentimes, sometimes without even naming it, experience increased intuition and self-awareness. So menopause shifts our brain literally from focusing on reproduction to accessing more wisdom and insight. And many women experience a stronger connection to their intuition and a pull to a deeper self-discovery. I know that that has definitely been a huge part of my journey. So I wonder if instead of fearing this change, and again, I'm being pretty general. I know, maybe some of you are feeling really empowered in the process. I know the conversations that I'm having with my women friends. I'm about 10 years older than most of my friends. I had my daughter at 42, so I was actually perimenopausal and postpartum simultaneously. Thank goddess I found Purium right in that moment because it really helped me to ride those crazy waves. But the conversations that I have with people is much like I said in the beginning. It's just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't have a lot of guidance. Kind of the two primary concerns are hormones and weight. And a lot of people just feel like they don't have a lot of options. So let me find myself here. Yeah. So instead of fearing the changes, what if we embrace menopause as a time to unlock our clarity, deepen our wisdom, and really shift our focus around what our purpose is, right? So I would love to talk about identity shifts and redefining our purpose. Many of us, as I said, wrap our identity around our reproductive phase. For pretty much my entire life, I just wanted to be a mom. And I had my daughter at 42. And for the last 12 years, I have been so deep in mothering. It's a huge part of my identity. And now here I am, I'm well into my menopausal time. My daughter's 12. She's going through her own individuation process. And so it's a natural flow for me to come back into like, oh, what is my purpose? What else am I doing besides mothering? And so I am, one of those women who's trying to figure it out. It's like, oh, what am I here to do? Like beyond mothering, now that my reproductive time has come to a completion. And I also have grief around that. I think grief is a very natural part of any rite of passage, whether we're going into our menarche or coming out of it. It's a lot. And the journey of being a woman, I find, is so fascinating and such an honor, and yet it's full of such depth and mystery and confusion as well. Um, all right, so a new perspective on aging and power. As we mentioned, in the Western culture, menopause is often framed as a decline. All right. So it's a time when a woman is seen as losing her youth and her fertility. And if we just look at what we're seeing in the media, it would also be that we are losing our desirability, right? So the narrative is often one of invisibility and discomfort and loss. And if this doesn't resonate with you, I totally get it. But I have had so many conversations where women are feeling that. But this isn't the case everywhere. In many cultures around the world, menopause is actually seen of a time of terrific transformation, wisdom, leadership, and instead of a woman's position being diminished, postmenopausal women actually step into greater authority, spiritual power, and respect within their communities. So, what if menopause isn't about losing our reproductive powers, right? What if it's about um, also gaining confidence and wisdom and self-ownership? I really like that idea of self-ownership. I did a quick search with that inquiry in mind, just regarding cultural approaches to menopause, and I just wanted to share some of the interesting things that I learned. All right, so there are a few themes. Again, this is going to be very general, but there are some themes that go throughout. So I'd love to have you just sort of pay attention to that and see what you notice. So in Japan, the word for menopause literally means renewal years, right? It's viewed as just a very natural, expected life transition, and it's prepared for just as we would prepare for puberty. Studies also show that Japanese women report far fewer menopausal symptoms, particularly hot flashes, compared to Western women. And so, as I was thinking about it, the traditional Japanese diet, the food is high in phytoestrogens, and that helps to balance hormones. And then also, I think the mindset is different. From what I read, aging is respected in the Japanese culture, and older women are valued for their wisdom and their insight. And there's not so much emphasis collectively on the appearance of their changing bodies. I also read that in Native American traditions, many tribes see menopause as a rite of passage. And that tends to be what I lean into. I studied traditional midwifery and what we call the wise woman traditions. And, just marking this with like coming into our crone time, increased wisdom. We've had a whole lifetime to gather information and how we value and share that. So, just to deepen that, menopausal women are often considered the spiritual guides and the healers and the wisdom keepers. And in some traditions, it's believed that once a woman stops menstruating, she holds her wisdom and her life force within herself rather than shedding it monthly. Also, there are wisdom ceremonies happening where menopausal women are honored and taken on as counseling and leadership roles in their communities. And the matriarchs are really highly respected and they're sought after for their knowledge and their guidance. I really enjoy learning that in some Latin American cultures, menopause is referred to as the second spring. So rather than just seeing menopause as an ending, it's viewed as a rebirth. So it's a time when a woman has new freedoms and new energy and a chance to reinvent herself. And some of the different perspectives are that, there's an emphasis on community. The women really rely on strong family and friend networks, and that reduces stress and it reduces isolation. And then there's also an honoring of the matriarch. So the grandmothers and the elder women are revered, and they often become the emotional and spiritual anchor of the family. And then dance and movement. Many Latin cultures embrace dance and movement and celebration as part of life's tradition rather than fearing it. So, like, let's dance our way through menopause, please. I'm so into that. So, menopause just isn't just the autumn of life. It's a second spring and it's full of renewal and possibility. And just to touch real quickly on a couple of other cultural perspectives, Chinese medicine views menopause as a time when a woman moves from her reproductive years, which is much more yang energy, into a more grounded, introspective, wise yin phase, right? So offering deeper spiritual insight and just a calmer, more balanced state of being. In some African traditions, menopausal women hold great social and spiritual authority. They are often leaders in the decision making. Sometimes they're the midwives and the community healers. In Ayurveda, which is the Indian culture, Ayurveda teaches that menopause is a vata phase of life. So it's requiring grounding, nourishment, self-care, and herbal remedies and rituals are a big part of the support process in Ayurvedic uh, wisdom. I'm going to take a breath here. All right, so reclaiming menopause as a time of power and freedom. Instead of fearing menopause, what if we embrace it as a phase of deep and personal empowerment? And just to recognize that across the world, many cultures honor and uplift women in this stage. Like, thank you. And in many ways, this phase can be a return to ourselves. It's a time when the external expectations get to fade, and we can actually step fully into our wisdom and our truth and our purpose. So just to reframe that, I am just really appreciating the lens of seeing menopause as an evolution into just a very new and vibrant and powerful version of ourselves. If that resonates with you, go ahead and drop a 10 in the chat. We're going to move forward and talk a little bit about self-care and nutritional support. All right, so now that we understand what's happening in our bodies and our minds, how do we support the transition? The holistic foundation of healthy menopause, I believe, is built on 4 pillars. All right. So we have stress management, and then community and mindset, movement, and then herbal support and nutrition. That might have been 5. All right. So with that said, I would love to hand the mic to my dear friend and colleague, Dana. Dana, after 20 years of working in the allopathic healthcare system as a clinical exercise physiologist, she founded the Get Well, Stay Well Naturally, which is a health coaching approach that trusts the wisdom and the magic of our bodies as a natural teacher. Now she takes that approach to the next level by weaving in these incredible Purium superfoods, and also has a quiet meditative movement practice called Wild Flow. And with this, she has built a heart-centered community called the Be Well Oasis, where women thrive physically and financially and guide others to do the same. So Dana, would love to welcome you. And when we were talking a couple days ago, about what you might share. I really loved what you said, and I'll let you say it, but I really loved just what came through, and I loved reading the bio and getting that peek into your world. So thank you so much, and I'm going to mute myself and hand the mic to you.
Oh, Grace, such a pleasure to hear your voice, to be in this space with all of you, to be in this community and have a chance to share a little bit of my story and how this community has had an influence in my life. So, Grace, thank you for your invite. And it really gave me a chance to give some thought. What I really said to Grace right off the bat, like, I really don't have a story where I had lots of symptoms and menopause or perimenopause felt like this impossible mountain to climb. It really did for me feel like this magical time in my life. And I think that as I was reflecting on how I was going to share that here, I did think back. That wasn't the experience of my grandmother, and that wasn't the experience of my mother. And so in this space, I really want to thank them in part for allowing me to evolve it from this ancestral perspective with an understanding of what they came before me and did a little bit of work for me so that I could really understand the bigger picture. And I was not new to a healthy lifestyle. It's really been my life. And I think that in being introduced to these products at 49. I had my daughter when I was 38, so I was also a late mom. And I was frankly pretty exhausted after that, working full time. And so at 38, then 10 years later, I was introduced to this community, this lifestyle, these products. And I think it was perfect timing, that it really was the next phase in my family's history to help me. So my grandmother had a hysterectomy. My mother told these stories, and I remember her needing to go to the emergency room because she was basically hemorrhaging at the age of 48 because she was anemic, her cycle was wonky. And so these were stories that I had heard, but luckily I didn't necessarily absorb them and make them my own. And so I remember my mom telling this story that my stepfather used to come home from work, and he used to throw his hat into the house. And if it came back at him, he would just like go away for a little while. So there was this emotional piece too. And that was also really not my experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, I certainly went through a lot of grief. There was a lot of transition at that time in my life. But I think I had an experience that I could get in touch with those emotions at a deeper level, and being nourished in this way and feeling this as a time in my life that I was allowed to be more in an unfold into who I was really meant to be, who I really am, and embracing this time of life in that way helped me feel empowered, helped those emotions really be understood in a different way. So, I said to Grace, I don't know if I have an experience that will add to this conversation, but after hearing all that you've shared, Grace, around different cultures and how we can gather together as women and give menopause, perimenopause, this sacred time of life, a new view, a new slant, a new possibility, then I think I really do have something to share, that this is an important time for you, for us, to begin to embrace our voice, begin to be seen, to come together in community, and to begin to let go of that stigma around this time in life as being any more than magical and pregnant with great possibilities of different kinds. So a couple of things that I remember saying to Grace was that I was 50, just before 50, when I was introduced to Purium, Blessed Stephanie Dawn. And when that happened, so I'm now 54. So it was over 4 years ago. And I remember never having a birthday party for myself until I turned 50. And not that there weren't birthday parties, but I never threw a birthday party for myself, in honor of myself. And I think that being fueled by this level of nutrition, feeling this level of community, feeling this mission, feeling a part of this mission and what is unfolding, I threw a birthday party for myself exactly the way I wanted to throw it, which was women and daughters hiking this beautiful mountain by our house and having a fire and singing, and so there were 50 or more women and daughters at the top of this mountain for my 50th birthday. And that, I feel, really signifies what I think menopause can be when we allow ourselves to to have a life that continues to prioritize shedding and opening and shedding and opening and shedding and opening through these products and the value of this community. And so I believe that it is possible to experience menopause and this change in life as a creation of wisdom and an opportunity to share more and more of yourself. So thank you so much for inviting me to share here, and thank you to all of you who are here in this community sharing your gifts and sharing this mission as a way of really alleviating some of the pain that comes only through the accumulation of things that don't need to be accumulated.
I love that, Dana. Thank you so much. I remember being really, it really landed with me when you said, yeah, I don't have like a big story of like how menopause was really terrible. And then I took the products and it got better because I was taking the products through it. So it was like pretty level and enjoyable. And I was like, yeah, that's a story. Let's tell that one. So thank you. It's so wonderful to hear your voice. And we have some more guests, and I would love to hand the mic to Dominique to introduce our next guest. And I'm really excited to hear everyone's stories, and I feel just grateful that you came to support this today. So thank you.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Thank you. First of all, Grace, your presentation was amazing. I love how you always tie in other cultures and how they honor and celebrate the transitions of life. And I definitely think that obviously with our community, we are leaning into that and creating a new narrative together here. But as we continue to grow, to expand that message, to our families and to the world. And also Dana, it was a beautiful share. I love that you said that you are creating a new normal for your family's ancestry when it comes to this time of life. So that's so beautiful. And I loved your story also. And yeah, I'm excited to share a couple of stories of some women in my community. First, I'll start with my friend Lori. We met in 2022, I believe, and she was at the time searching for plant-based protein resources. She was transitioning or has a background in bodybuilding. And so, of course, I shared with her our super aminos and all of our superfoods, which she loved. And then fast forward to last year, I just invited her to a Zoom call that I was speaking on with Dave and Amy, and they were talking about Menopause and also pineal clear. And I shared my story with pineal clear. And I had no idea that Lori was going through, this transition of menopause and how she was feeling. And so she completely resonated with the stories about menopause. She started her 90-day transformation and incorporated menopause and pineal clear into her routine. And just her testimony is night and day from just what she was struggling with and to how good she's feeling now. So Lori, if you don't mind unmuting, and I'll let you share directly how you're feeling and how your experience was.
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to be here and share the story. I wish something existed like this, or that I knew existed like this, to help in that transition, because it is no fair that menopause can often make you feel like you're running into a brick wall with no answers, and you're just trying to figure it out, not only for yourself, but for your children, your spouse, everybody who is impacted by you as an individual. So thank you for the opportunity. I want to give a special shout out to the gentlemen that I see. Dan and Adam are what I can see on my screen, and just your presence in wanting to be educated in this, it's a journey, right? And just to be able to open your ears and mind to the possibility of what the women in your life are experiencing is just special to me. So I just want to say that for all of you who are in attendance. What I will share, I want to back up the story just a little bit in hopes that you think about this for any young woman that you know in your life. I probably had an early indication that menopause would be a little bit more of a journey for me when I was in my early 20s. I did not know at the time I suffered severely from endometriosis at an early age of 22, and didn't even know what it was, had a treatment for it. But no one ever said, hey, think about your food, think about this, think about that. So had surgery for endometriosis, and then back on the path to regular life. That then kind of led to this transition of trying to get pregnant. And then it was years of infertility. Tried artificial insemination, tried um, in vitro, then found out I had a fibroid. But no one ever said, hey, the endometriosis you had probably is connected to the fibroid you had. And oh, by the way, if you don't do something different, you're probably going to have fibroids again. So had my daughter at 35, and never had been pregnant before, nothing, but just last chance, naturally got pregnant. But in the middle of a divorce. So that was crazy too. So stress factors all the way through my life, but I also was a competitive bodybuilder, and I found my way to that with the first time I heard that I was infertile, and it was undiagnosed. There was nothing that they could tag it to. And so I got into bodybuilding, but I think my way to bodybuilding led to healthier nutrition, healthier eating. So hormones got imbalanced, got pregnant naturally. So after I had my daughter, I don't know, she probably was 4 or 5. I needed to take her to daycare, whatever it was. And so I was kind of out of this window of bodybuilding actively at that window of time, and had developed severe fibroids again. Had surgery, had a pulmonary embolism, you name it, I was going through it. Like felt like I was bleeding my whole life out. I ended up having another surgery to get rid of that. Again, no one's ever telling me that my phytoestrogens that I was consuming through soy milk, all the things I was doing to be healthy for bodybuilding, probably was adding because I was estrogen dominant, but nobody said anything, right? And so now I'm in my 40s when that happened, and got heavily back into bodybuilding just on a regular regimen. Again, hormones are probably in balance at this point, higher level of testosterone because I put on more muscle. So I'm good. Perimenopause didn't have anything of that. Not that I knew I was having, because I was in some competitive or prep stage for about 10 years. COVID happened, extended. I wanted to compete when I was 50. So COVID happened. So it extended it a little bit. 51 was my last time I was on stage. I'm 53 now. I'm like, I'm good. I just want to rest. Plus it was menopause. Plus it was COVID. And so I then at the tail end of the COVID cycle, I caught COVID. And I developed this horrible aversion to animal protein. Like couldn't stand the way it smelled, I didn't want texture, anything. So that was what Dominique had alluded to. So I'm like desperate, like I need some type of protein. And it was like, oh, try these super aminos. Oh my God. So I wasn't ready for the ultimate lifestyle transformation, but I was open to the possibility of the super aminos. So I did that, still all the veggies, all the good stuff, all the healthy stuff, started trying the shake, power shake, but I was like, oh, it's something. I can't do that. It reminds me of something. I remember this conversation Dominique and I had. What I didn't know until I did the ultimate lifestyle transformation recently was that my tongue, my palate wasn't ready for it. I just didn't know it. I did. So I'm like, yep, not doing that. But I kept doing the super aminos because it was just a good segue. I then experience, because bodybuilding, now I'm off season again for a while, pandemic, trying to get the protein right, couldn't get it right. I started developing fibroids yet again. Third time. But now I'm studying, I'm realizing like, oh my God, like if I don't change, if I don't know how to take all of the antibiotics out of the chickens, all of the things that I need to be paying attention to, because that is spiking my estrogen, which is then sending me back into this whole hula hoop on my fibroids. So I just went to the doctor like, look, just take everything out. I don't want any of it. So instead of naturally going into menopause, I surgically went into menopause. But the first year, because I still ate really good, I was good. As I moved into the second year after hysterectomy, I'm brain fog. Again, I saw Dominique speak about it, and I'm like, okay, maybe I just need something to clear something. So the pineal clear, and I thought, oh, the menopositive would be great too. So I'm going to try it. it completely, I mean, literally in like 7 to 10 days, it felt like a light switch. I felt sharp again. I felt clarity. I had shifted out of corporate America into entrepreneur just because I was tired of that. And I just felt clarity, like these ideas that I had been feeling like it was a wall, it was just flowing. Idea, 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 idea. And I think because of the mental positive and the lifestyle reset or the transformation, it got everything back in order. Blood sugar levels. And again, I was never a bad eater. I probably just wasn't consuming enough macronutrients. And so the super meal shake kept me satiated. I felt full. I did that. I could do 2 of those and still be good. I was doing the super amino 23s. That was good. My hormones were good. I had clarity of purpose. So I'm like on all the products. Like I'm taking the zinc, I'm not getting sick. And so not until not until probably, I don't know, I got the flu or something. I got whatever those viruses that were going around this past fall, where you had this, and this, and it felt like you had all the things. I didn't feel like eating anything. Like I was just tired. So it was like this window of my menopause and my pineal clear that I wasn't taking it because I didn't have an appetite and I didn't want anything. And I think that's where it opened the window for the menopause symptoms to go rampant. Like, oh no, we're here. We are here. And I probably could have managed through it. But my husband, recently got remarried 2 years ago. And I hated that I didn't want to cuddle because I was hot. And he wanted to cuddle. And I'm like, oh, if I could just slide over out the bed. Is he asleep yet? Let me get out of the bed. But I was hot, like my body was hot to touch, even if I could mentally manage it. I felt like hot, like I wanted to jump out of my body. And so I got back in rhythm with mental positive, got back in rhythm with all the things. But just till recently, like this week, I'm like, is there something we can do about this? Like, I don't know. I really don't want to do HRT, but you got to do something because your girl is feeling the thing. And so estrogen was in the tank, um, testosterone was in the tank, progesterone was somewhere else. I wasn't sleeping at night. So we have some remedies that I'm going to use in the short term, but I'm never going to let go of my menopositive, my pineal clear, uh, because in all the other products that are available to me, because it truly changed my life.
Yeah.
It helped me get through moments that I didn't want food or my body was different, to all the things Grace was saying. Like I was a bodybuilder, so I never had a waist. A what? And I just felt like one day I leaned over to tie a shoe and I thought, let me move everything so I can it was just frustrating to me. Like I just wanted to like throw it all out the window. Like I quit. I give up. Like this is I and so I say that to you, that if you have a young daughter who is struggling, listen to her, because there are so many things that are in our foods. My husband and I, we love to spend time in the Caribbean. And what I know is when I'm out of the country, my body doesn't feel the same way as when I come back. So I know this food is laden and just, it has so many chemicals in it that flips our body upside down. And so I love Purium. I love what it does for me. My daughter always laughs like, oh, you're just going to have your almonds and shake and an apple. And I'm like, that shake does more for me than a lot of other things.
It
And
does.
so it's a life changer, game changer. And I'm just moved by the way the products have really changed my life, being a whole food eater all of my life through most of my bodybuilding career. And to think that something that comes in the mail in a package could be that dense in nutrients. And not only that, but the combination of what is in the pineal clear in the menopositive really did make an impact on my life. And so
Thank
thank
you
you,
so much.
Dominique, for allowing me to share. Thank you for letting me be in community with you all this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. Everybody's giving you so much love in the chat. I appreciate your testimony, and it's helping a lot of people. So thank you. And then we do have one more testimonial I want to share before we close out. My friend Danica, I know she mentioned earlier on this call before she shared the pledge. We met last year in a grief circle, and I knew how nourishing these foods could be to supporting people through a very emotional time in their life, especially through grief, but did not know what she was going through with menopause on top of that. So, Danica, would love for you to share your story. Lastly, before we close out tonight.
Yes. Again, thank you for having me. Lori, I agree with you that menopause will never not be in my hands. I was running low and I called Dominique freaking out, like, I'm getting low. Yes, always. So imagine me grieving my husband, trying to, like I said, trying to feel my way through being a solo mom, and then realizing, I think I'm in perimenopause. Why is no one talking about this? Why is no one prepared? Why do I feel so unprepared? Even in my circle of girlfriends, I just had it one day and I said, come on, really? Nobody else is feeling crazy and anxiety through the roof like I am, hot all the time. So I just mentioned it in my group of girlfriends, and all of them are experiencing perimenopause symptoms, but we're not talking about it. So once I kind of opened that door, now we have the conversations about the things that we're feeling and going through. But no one's talking about it. Grace, I am a doula, so I would love to get into your head one day. But I know all about reproductive health, maternal health, and all these things, right? But why do we not talk about the other half of womanhood, right? So I just remember feeling so unprepared, like it just kind of caught me off guard. But when I started doing my research and learning more about it, I realized that I've actually been in it for some time. Like I said, my daughter's 4. I actually have started perimenopause shortly after I had her, and thinking that was just postpartum, perimenopause, and then grief. So my anxiety was through the roof. I did not feel grounded at all. I literally felt like I was losing my mind sometimes. I ended up in the emergency room about 3 times last year because I swore I was having a heart attack. I thought I'm dying. I'm sure I'm dying. I'm dying. Something's wrong. Nothing, anxiety. So I met Dominique, like I said, in a grief circle last year, and she changed my life. The products changed my life. From just the regular ULT, starting with that. The Power Shake is my go-to, because grief leaves you without an appetite sometimes, right? So there were many days where I was just surviving off of one little something, or soup has been my go-to. So I might have soup, but not a real appetite. So knowing that I can have my Power Shake to sustain me and I'm getting everything I need. Ironically, as I started doing the life transformation, Dominique would tell you, I started to have an appetite, like, oh, this is what it feels like again to actually be hungry, right? And how now I can nourish myself with other things. So that happened for me. And then when I was telling her about my kind of perimenopause symptoms, she told me about the menopositive. Changed my life. Lori, like you said, almost instantly. It was like within maybe 3 or 4 days that I noticed that my night sweats have lessened. My mood swings started to be less. I actually kind of with the perimenopause, when I do get my cycle, those first 2 days are like, I'm in so much pain. It's like bloody murder. Sorry, guys. But taking the menopositive, I've been taking them for my cramps, and Dominique could tell you, every time I have a success story, I'm texting her or calling her, like, listen, this is what happened now. I have not had to take any pain meds. I take it for my cramps, and within 15, 20 minutes, I feel relief every time. I can feel when I ovulate. I take the menopositive when I feel that pain of ovulation help within 20, 25 minutes. So I have not taken pain medication for my cycle in many months now. And like I said, I will not live without the menopositive. But just like I said, just feeling more ground with all the products, feeling more grounded, feeling more creative, feeling more of myself. I feel like I'm coming back to who I was before I lost my husband. I also started with the women's defense with the mental positive, and oh my goodness, it was like another level of for me. So now my night sweats are really like far and few in between, and my moods are so much more stable. When the anxiety comes, because I'm not going to say that it doesn't, but when it comes, it doesn't take me out. Like I'm still able to find a way to reground myself or get back to myself. It's not like a whole episode where it was before, where for days I can be taken out for something, right? My anxiety was literally through the roof. But I just feel so much better. I just feel better all the way around. I take my cherry at night with my daughter. We have glasses. We have to cheers every night with our with our pot of cherry. But now that I have a daughter, because my two older children are boys, I want to be a better example for her, right? Because my mother didn't talk about this with me. When I started telling her about my symptoms, then oh yeah, I did that. I experienced that. Oh yeah. Like, really, mom? You couldn't tell me, you couldn't give me a heads up or anything, right? So I want to do that for her. I want to set the example for her, even just now with how I'm nourishing myself better and taking care of myself better. Like, I want to be, who she looks up to, who she can come to when she's having these womanly things or whatever. So I'm very excited about my future with with Perium. I'm very just grateful. I can't say it enough how grateful I am to have met Dominique and to have started these products, because they really have changed my life. So thank you again for giving me time to share my story.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you're getting so much love in the chat. You have some incredible energy and your story is powerful. So you're already setting the stage for your daughter and she already looks up to you. So yeah, we're just sharing these tools. So thank you both. Thank you all for your testimonials. I'm going to pass it to Naeva so we can wrap up and you guys can stay connected with us in our community.
Thank you so much, Grace, for leading us today. Thank you to all of our guests for sharing your stories. It's so beautiful. And for anybody that was asking today, like, how do you get started and what is it that you can do right now to support yourselves? We always start with the ultimate lifestyle transformations. And then we have an amazing wellness guide that you can tune into. And for female hormone support, the top ones that I would recommend is the Super Life Formula, the Pineal Clear, the Women's Defense, barley greens juice, and Menopause. And you've heard these women sharing about these products throughout their testimonials about how many benefits that they've received from these incredible superfoods in their daily life. And of course, everything that comes in the ultimate lifestyle transformation. But we'd love to invite you to come and be a part of our community. Each and every one of you here is part of the Million Mom movement. And so we'd love to invite you to our next presentation next week on April 10th. Wise and Wealthy, Dominique's going to be leading that presentation. So come learn more about how you can join our community and create an income here with us. And of course, we'd love to invite you to like, follow, and share our Facebook page on go like our Facebook page. That's where events are posted. You can go to Million Mom Movement official group where we repost the replays, and that's where our community is. You can also follow us on Instagram, tag us on your stories and your posts so we can feature you. And last but not least, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have over 300 replays. You guys, we've been doing these calls every week for 5 years now. So that is something super exciting. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you here being a part of this community and being here with us. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me see here.